So, welcome. Thank you guys for coming today. My name is David Kendall, and I'm a medical video editor for Ophthalmic. So, the first thing, a lot of questions are about medical video or about video editing software. So, these are just a handful that I've seen commonly used. You can write some of them down, or if you just Google video editing software, any of these are going to pop up. These are three that I recommend. The first two are kind of advanced, but Adobe Premiere is one I'll be showing you a tutorial on. It is Mac and Windows, depending on what platform you use. Final Cut Pro is only for Mac, and then QuickTime Pro is Mac and Windows also. It's pretty basic. So there's also some online video editors. YouTube, actually, if you have an account, they let you upload and edit video right there. It's very basic. It's similar to iMovie and Windows Movie Maker. There's also some platform independent solutions as well, depending on what platform you're on. You can basically use Google Drive or iCloud to present and have everything just on the cloud, so you don't have to worry about actual physical software, or hardware, I mean. So let's just go through what a video is really quickly. These are just some common file formats. I'm not going to talk too much about them, but it's basically a container is what that means. And it usually holds video and audio. It could be a narration track, could be music, could be whatever. And then you have your retinal video. And then each one of those, it's made up of frames. Each one of those is going to be pixels wide by high. You've heard 1920 by 1080. That's all that is pixels. And how many of those is in a second? Are you recording at 24, 30, 60 frames a second? And then how does it present those frames to you? It's called scan method. Does it kind of chop them in half like the interlace and refresh it back and forth, or is it progressive, one picture after the other, kind of like the bottom corner of a book, flipping the book really quick? That old method. So, and then bitrate is just basically information. Determines the file size at the end of the day and quality of the video, so on and so forth. So codec, a video codec is a word that you're going to run into if you are doing any kind of video editing, and it basically is just a word for compression, decompression, because whenever you handle video, be it showing something on YouTube or just playing it back on your computer, you got to have some way to compress that data and then decompress it to play on whatever you're doing. So that's just a really basic overview of kind of what's in a video, what that means, and I'll go through the main steps for editing. So the first is the recording process, which I'll talk about in just a second, and then you have your setup of your project, importing, editing, then exporting, and then ultimately viewing and presenting. And again, in this process, being the surgeon, recording the video, you're the director in this and kind of have control how this ends up. So, you want to have a nice product in the end. So, you got your recording process here. You might have some live viewing, but essentially to get to this point, you'll have to have a camera and a recording device, edit it in the end for a presentation in some way, shape, or form. So let's go ahead and get to editing. Like I said, I'm going to go through Premiere Pro, which is an advanced editor, and then iMovie, which is a basic editor. At first, this is just a general recommendation. I create a main folder to hold all my assets because most of the time files are linked. And if you rename a file, if you move it, it will break the link because you're not editing the actual files. You may or may not know that, but that's really important to know because you're not damaging the original files. You're just editing instances of them, essentially. And some editing programs just set this up for you, like iMovie. I'll show you both. So let's go ahead and just jump right into, I'll show you my folder, this ASRS video editing tutorial. I've created 4 folders. Again, this is just how I work. You can set it up however you feel comfortable. I have audio, images, and video. Essentially, you just keep your assets in there, keep them organized, and then an export folder for anything that whenever you get done editing, I send everything there. So I'm going to start out with the advanced editor and then end with the basics. So Adobe Premiere Pro it imports a lot of different kinds of video and works with them pretty well. So I like to use it because it has a lot of bells and whistles, but I'll go through those pretty quickly. So to set up a new project, again, you want to keep everything in the same folder, try to keep organized. So I'm going to go to my video editing tutorial folder, click choose, and then just name it something appropriate. In this case, I'm just going to call it August 12th ASRS demo. Then click OK. And so you're going to see a nice big bunch of windows here. when I'll go over what each of these 4 windows mean. First of all, this bottom left. It may be in some location on the other program, but in most programs you're going to have an assets folder. So you can go to File, go to Import, and then I'm just going to go to my video folder, which I've already have two Retina video clips in there. Just click OK. It's going to bring them in. And you guys remember all that stuff I went through really quickly, like the frame rate, the resolution, the bit rate, the file format. When you create a timeline, essentially that's how you're telling your story. You're dragging all your clips, you're editing them, and then you're essentially going to export them somewhere. So timeline and sequence are interchangeable events, but your timeline is kind of like where you're telling your story. So you want what you captured the video in, those settings, you want it to match, because you don't want to lose quality or add something that's not necessary to it. So you can right-click your clip and go to New Sequence. Like I said, sequence or timeline, same thing. New Sequence from Clip, and it'll create it for you. And so you'll see here, you can scrub through and it dragged that clip on. And I'm just going to go ahead and say you have 2 or 3 or 10 or 100. You can drag them all to your timeline. And these 2 windows up here, this is your individual clip viewer, and this is your timeline viewer. So if you double click on a clip, you're going to view an individual clip here, and then here on your timeline, you're going to see everything that you have. So now I'll just jump into showing you 3 really quick ways to edit. The first one is in this clip editor up here. So I double click this clip and say you don't want all of this stuff before. Let's just find some good point, maybe about here. And then I hit I, which stands for in. And if you see this, it kind of ungrade this. That means it's not going to import this. And you see down here, a lot of the video clip disappeared on the timeline. And then if you go to, you drag a little bit more and say, okay, I just want to go to right about there, and hit O, I and O, in and out. It just trims it for you. Quick little keyboard shortcuts. And you see it automatically trimmed it for you down here on the timeline. So I'm going to drag this to the beginning and leave it there, and then we'll deal with this other clip really quickly. Another way to edit is just literally, in pretty much all programs, you can drag the beginning and end of clips to where you want the edit to go. So, and then I'm going to drag that here. And then the last would be most programs will have a tool called the razor tool or the scissor tool, and that just goes back to the days when people actually had to cut film and tape it back together. So it's kind of nice that we have this now and don't have to worry about the actual physical film. So those are, we imported, we did some basic edits. I'm not going to go into transitions or titles or anything in this program. I'm just going to delete this, and for sake of exporting the video, I'm going to export maybe like 15 seconds of it. And how I can tell that is on every timeline that you're going to see, probably they'll have these little numbers, which is hours, minutes, seconds, and frames, which goes to your frame rate. It tells you literally what frame you're on, and you can cut pretty precisely. So I'm going to just trim this to the end, and then it's playing back fine. I'm going to save it. You just go to File, Save, and then, so we imported, edited, now we're going to export. So I'm going to go in Adobe Premiere, it's called Export Media. And so as long as you have your timeline selected, you can go through here, play through it again. You want to give it a place to go. So again, that export folder that I created, I'm going to send it there, and I'm just going to call it Retina 1. And if you do, several different edits, you can sequentially order them, whatever you want. And here's your format, which is essentially going to give you the dot, your name, dot, whatever the file is. I recommend, there's no one size fits all. I wish there was, but in general, if you use H.264 codec, it's very widely supported on Mac and PC, online streaming, so on, so forth with those kind of things. So I just choose that, and that will give you, as you can see here, if you see where my mouse is, an MPEG-4 file. And then if you want, most programs have some presets. You can go to, send it for an Android phone, for an iPhone, HD, Vimeo, you want to send it to YouTube. This is really nice because it gives you a lot of presets. Remember the bells and whistles I was talking about? That's this right here. So I'm just going to choose full HD, 1080p, 30 frames a second, and then go ahead and click export. And so while that's exporting, I'm going to jump back into the program really quick and just go over some of the. Whenever you are exporting, you want to think a couple things. Where will my video be played in the end? To how am I going to export it? What format do I want to choose? You know, is it going to be for online only, or is you going to present this at a lecture? If people are going to stream it, what device are they going to stream it on? How fast is their processor? What's the internet connection? There's a lot of things to think about, and maybe you want to export a different version for each of those. You can export as many times as you want. So we should jump back to Premiere. Okay, that's done. So now let's really quickly go ahead and just insert that video into a PowerPoint and into Keynote. Since I have Keynote open, I'm going to go ahead and go to Insert, Choose, and I'm going to find my file right here that I just edited, and okay, that's fine. All right, so there it is, full frame. You can scale it down, do whatever you want. That's up to you and your presentation. But in the end, whenever you're ready, you just go to play, and then you click it, and it plays for you. So there you go. That is Keynote. So let's open up PowerPoint really quickly, and just create a new presentation. I'm sure you guys are super familiar with inserting stuff, so I'm not going to go too much into that. But you want to go to Insert Movie from File, and then just browse to that export folder and stick it in. And so what you might come across, you guys might not have this issue at all, but if it does, the video's not broken. If you see here, you click it and it'll actually play. And so if you pause it on a certain frame, you can go up to this poster frame option and click current frame, and you'll see that it goes ahead and it sets it right there for you, so you don't have some big question mark that looks ugly. So, and then I don't really need to save this, but that's essentially just a quick way to insert that into your presentations. Now I'm going to open up iMovie and go through. That's a more basic editor than the Premiere Pro that I just showed you, and go through kind of some steps on that. So let's open up iMovie. Let's quit this program. And so the first thing that you want to do in iMovie is create a new event. iMovie, Windows Movie Maker is basically the Windows equivalent to this. So you're going to find a lot of similar things. So whatever I teach you here, you're probably going to find it in that. So you create a new event, and I'm just going to call it, just keep it on today's date and call it Video Demo 8/12, the date. And then within that event, you want to create a new movie, because you could have several movies within that. You know, this procedure, that. Go ahead and click New Movie. You can choose a theme if you want. Generally, I don't. So just click No Theme, and then you give it a name. And so we'll just call this Demo ASRS Movie, and then click OK. And so now you have your event and you have your movie. You want to import the media, which is so just browse to it. In my case, like I said, if you keep it all in the same place, you're not going to get confused and lose files. And then it's just going to copy all those files into your media browser here. And so you don't actually have to click. You can just kind of hold your mouse over. In fact, none of my fingers are touching the mouse. I'm just scrubbing over it right now. But if I do want to get a specific part of the clip, like say maybe here, I just click and drag, and it highlights this specific area yellow. And when I'm ready, I can either drag it down or just hit this plus sign, and it adds it there. And again, all these programs are going to work basically the same with edits. You click the beginning, and you drag, or the end, drag, beginning and drag, and to shorten your clip. And so I'm going to maybe go down and just get something else again really quickly, like click and drag this section here, click the plus, and so now we have two clips. And so here's our amazing Hollywood award-winning retinal movie. Let's say we want to add a transition in the middle. Down here in iMovie, I don't know why they keep it in the bottom left, but it may look a little different in whatever version you have. But you just click transitions, and it's really nice because they literally show you when you scrub over them what you're going to find. Cross dissolve is probably the most popular, so I'm just going to go ahead and click that, drag it right, and drop it right in between the clips. And it defaults to 1 second, but say you want to do like 5. So you just double click it, and we'll just hit 5. And then whenever you play this back, you're going to see it takes 5 seconds to transition from one clip to the next. You can edit that however you like. I'm going to go ahead and hit spacebar, starts and stops video. Some of you guys that have done it before are probably familiar with that. Let's go ahead and add a title, because you may want to differentiate between this procedure to that in the same video. You click titles, again, it pops up here, and if you scroll over it, it just gives you a little preview of what you want. So for this demo, say you guys want to add something to the bottom and then leave it there for the whole video. So let's see, click and drag and drop over top. And again, if you want to, this doesn't make the video clips any longer or shorter, but this just zooms in on your view. So you can click and drag that clip to the beginning, and then we'll zoom back out so we can see things a little better. And then drag this to the beginning, and so now if you scrub over, you'll see that your title stays there, transitions to the next, and you can do a title for the next movie if you want. So I won't show you again, but it's pretty simple. And one thing with iMovie is if you want to save it, it actually doesn't have a save button because it automatically does it for you, which is nice because sometimes I've forgotten and something crashes and you lose a lot of stuff. So now that we've done these basic things, imported, done some editing, titles, transitions, now you want to get it out and into the presentation. Just like in Premiere, it's got less options, but it's pretty straightforward. I mean, it gives you little icons of, say you want to put it on YouTube, go ahead and click that. It'll have you enter your YouTube information and it'll post right there. For now, I'm just going to do File. And again, it doesn't give you very many options. You can change it from, you can keep it at full HD, which is what we shot it at, or you can go all the way down to standard definition. But I'm just going to keep it at this. And then you click Next and tell it where to go. And for the sake of time, I'm not going to export this one as well. I already showed you guys how to do that. It would be boring to sit there and watch it. So we'll click Cancel, and I'm going to go back to my presentation over here, and I think, yeah, I already showed you guys how to do the both of the advanced and basic editors. And so now I'm just going to open up the floor for any questions you guys might have. I know I covered a lot of things really quickly, so if you guys have any questions, ask them now and I'll try to address them to the whole crowd.
How can you get
What's that?
How do you put the audio file?
Oh, how do you put an audio file in? Okay, so I don't actually have an audio file, but it's the exact same way. Let's see, go to import, and so you would find your file and say that would be like an MPEG-3. You would import it and then just drag it, and video editing works on layers. As you can see, the title is above the video. So anything that's below something is obviously not going to be visible, anything above is. So you would just put the audio below. So I'm sorry I don't have an audio file prepared, but it's pretty simple. You would do it the same way you do video.
How can you get still frame?
Oh, still frame, okay.
Frame.
Yeah, okay.
Use it as a picture. No?
Yeah, okay, so you want to, let's see. So here is something else. I'm going to go ahead and go back to my show you in Premiere how to do it, and then show you an even simpler way in a program called Quicktime. Have you guys heard of Quicktime Player? Quicktime. It's also, you think it's just Mac because Mac originally made it, but it's also for Windows as well. You can download it for like $30, I think, on the internet. You can do in Premiere. It's nice. You just scrub, say this is the frame that you want. There's a little camera button, and if you click it, you can tell it what to call it. You want it to be a JPEG or a TIFF or whatever. I just keep it at the JPEG. And then tell it where to go, and I would put it in my images folder. And so say, here's one more option. Say you want all kinds of images. Say you want all of the images from this video. If you go back to File, Export, Media, you can go to, I believe if you just click JPEG, it will export out a sequence of JPEGs. So that's going to be a lot of pictures. So what I'm going to do is just go back to my viewer and look, that's about 1minute 18 seconds. And I'm just going to cut that there just to show you guys. so there's not as many pictures. So File, Export, Media, and then say you want to choose JPEG, and then you tell it where to go. So it's going to go into my Images folder, and I'm going to take this number off of the end because it's going to sequentially number them for me. You can tell it the quality you want, so on and so forth. And then I click Export, and so you'll see here should be, see it, here's all your images. So if you want one or like 1,000, you can do that. So there's, yeah, this is the advanced one. How can you do that in iMovie, he asks. Let me open that up. I'm not 100% sure actually how to do that in this. The only options iMovie gives you are these. So it doesn't allow you to, I'm not sure that iMovie can allow you to export it, but the Quicktime Player that I was telling you about, you go to your video, you open it up in QuickTime, Mac or PC, and say you go to the frame that you want, and then if you just go to Edit, Copy, you can open up Microsoft Paint, or if you have Photoshop, or I mean, there's a lot of image editors, and then just hold on, sorry, and then just go to Edit, Paste. And so if all you have is just whatever kind of image editor that you might have, you can just paste it right into there. So out of iMovie, since it's more basic, it doesn't have that function. But I hate to give this answer, but if you really get stuck, you can always just Google whatever's going on. So I hate to give that answer, but essentially that works a lot of the times. So it's really easy from Pro, but if you don't have that, you can open it up in QuickTime and go to Copy. Is there any other questions? Like narration? Yeah, that's... So... Let's see... Record voiceover. So it's under Window, Record voiceover. And I think that all you do is you would go to the point that you want to record the audio, and then, I mean, we can try it right now. So, gives you a little countdown, and then I'll just say, all right, everyone, welcome to the ASRS 2014 demo. This is just a sample piece of audio, and then it's recording down there. And so, you may or may... Well, you can't hear it, but it is playing because I don't have speakers hooked up. But essentially, yeah, you go to Window and then Record Voiceover. So it's really simple. Mm-hmm. Any other questions?
Yeah, that's really probably
I'm sorry, I can't.
not that I know of,
Like over top of each other? Yeah. It would depend on what you're wanting to do with it. But if you wanted, you can always copy a clip just by going to Edit, Copy, and then coming to the end here, and then Edit, Paste. And so just making a copy of that clip. And if you wanted to put, is this what you mean? Like put it over top? Yeah. So you can do that. It's so again, all you're going to see is the top layer. So if you wanted to, yeah, if you want, oh, like a picture-in-picture? Oh, I see. Okay. That makes more sense. Like if you're recording like two different views, show a picture. Okay. I'm not sure if you can do that. Again, like I said, you can search, so I'll just do picture, create a picture-in-picture clip. So again, if you get stuck, tells you how to do it. So, well, since everyone's standing here watching, I've never done it in iMovie, but you can search, and it gives you all the instructions right here. But I would assume that, let's see, maybe there's a button. What I'll do is we'll keep going through some more questions if anybody has them, and if anyone wants to stick around, we'll do this together. We'll learn it together. So I know how to do it in Premiere, but in case you guys don't want to go with the advanced editor, just you want to stick with the simpler one, we can do this together. So we'll do this after. Any other questions?